Hello friends and welcome! Today I will build the famous US Air Force stealth attack and bomber aircraft, the Lockheed F-117A Nighthawk. For this build I choose the 1:72 scale academic kit. The moldings of this kit are quite decent. There are some visible burrs on the surface, but that is nothing a model can't handle. It's a kit from the 1990s, so some of the details are simplified. Most of the work will be on the wheel wells and bomb bay. For the armament of the machine, the kit includes 2 GBA-12 laser-guided bombs, 2 Mach-84 bombs and Sidewinder missiles. There is also an option for folded flaps. The clear parts look very nice. I will use the option for an open canopy. The instruction manual is a bit small. You can read everything you need from it, but it has some mistakes. For example, there is no color converter or instruction for exact color shades, so I will have to do my own research. The water slide decals look good, but I'm a little bit worried. Hope they will not fall apart. In addition to a homemade scratch build upgrade, this build will be completely out of the box. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell for not missing any new notifications. Okay, let's get started. The cockpit is very basic and I don't have any fuselage or resin parts. I will use parts from the kit. I cut them out of the plastic sprue and clean them with a sharp knife. The ejection seat is assembled from 3 pieces. For the assembly, I use a combination of Ravel Contacta glue and Mr. Cement. For creating the seat belts, I will use Italeri masking tape. The masking tape works very well. Using tweezers, I bend it into a needed shape and glue it with super glue. Details of the side panels and instrument panel are simplified. I will remove them and use the decals from the kit. I remove the simple details with a chisel and smooth the surface with sandpaper. After it's done, I paint all the cockpit parts with a dark ghost gray color. I downloaded some pictures as a basis for the build. There is a white border around the cockpit. The ejection seat and other parts are painted by hand with a semi-gloss and matte black. Next, I dry brush all parts with a light gray and metallic color. All parts are dry brushed and now I add a layer of clear varnish. For weathering, I use a dark wash from MIG Productions. For removing, I use only a dry cotton swab. I want the cockpit to look more dirty. Now I apply the water slide decals from the box. Honestly, I was a little bit worried if they will fall apart, but everything was fine. The Academy decals still look a bit basic, so I add more decals from my spare parts of US aircraft. And I also added some decals for the side panels as well. The basic cockpit doesn't look that bad. Now I can assemble it and glue it to the model's fuselage. And here is the final result. I'm used to work on much more detailed cockpits though, but it looks quite good for an old Academy kit. Next, I paint a front-looking infrared turret lens and glue it to the fuselage. The wheel well covers are nicely detailed, so most of the scratch build will be on the bomb bay. It definitely needs more details. For the scratch build, I will use plastic plates, metal wires and metal photo edge leftovers. First, I created some panels from plastic plates. Then, I added metal wires imitating electric cables and hydraulics. For gluing all parts, I use superglue. In the end, the bomb bay details won't be seen so much. For our scratch build, it's enough. And I also added some hydraulic hoses to the landing gear legs. Next, I added some additional weight to the front of the fuselage and glued both fuselage pieces together. The fit was quite good, but I rather progressed slowly. The landing gear flaps and ailerons are separated. There is an option for folded flaps, so I will use this option. It makes the model more interesting. I didn't show you the vertical tail assembly. It was very tricky. Beware of this step. You need a lot of patience and glue. The kit's GBU-12 bombs don't look that accurate. I will use the big 2000 pound Mark 84 bombs instead. The model is ready for filling. For this process, I use Mr. White Putty from Mr. Hobby. There wasn't too much to fill, but I rather check twice. The putty completely dries out after 5 hours. For sanding down the putty, I use water and P600 sandpaper. After sanding, I clean the surface of the model with soapy water. The last step before the paint job is to mask the clear parts with Italy masking tape and Mickey Metal liquid mask. Now I can add a layer of surfacer. It will show me all imperfections that I missed. Ah, found some. Most of it are sanding imperfections, so I repaired them with a P1000 sandpaper. The model is ready for painting. For the paint job, I will use the combination of Mr. Color C2 Black and C305 Gunship Grey. On this project, I will use my cheap Chromax PD130 airbrush with 0.25mm nozzle. The Nighthawk's camo is mixed in a ratio of 80% of black and 20% of dark grey. and it's diluted in a 1:3 ratio to leveling thinner. After painting, I masked the bomb bay, wheel wells and other details with masking tape. I almost had to mask the whole model. Now I paint the air intakes, bomb bay, wheel wells, landing gear legs and the weapons. Next, I carefully unmasked the model. I also removed the cockpit masking. The cockpit canopy section is from one piece, so the tape is no longer needed on the fuselage. Before varnishing, I paint small details such as navigation lights, hydraulic hoses and electric cables. The paint job needs to be sealed with a layer of varnish. Mostly, I use a highly diluted Mr. Color GX100 Super Clear 3. The next step is the decals application. The kit's decals are quite okay, but they include only markings for one aircraft. I decided to buy some extra decals from print scale. They include 17 other markings. I chose a Nighthawk nicknamed Unexpected Guest from the 416th Tactical Fighter Wing operating in the Gulf War from the year 1991. Print scale decals are excellent. They are very solid and easy to apply. Now I seal the decals with a layer of clear varnish. To save a lot of varnish, I spray only a layer over the decals. Next is the weathering. For this project, I will use a black and dark grey wash from Tamiya. The dark grey wash is used only on the aircraft. It's a black-grey camo, so it's the best option to highlight panel lines. And for highlighting white or lighter color surfaces, I use a black panel line wash. For removing the wash, as always, I use a cotton swab soaked in enamel thinner. For weathering, I use oil paints and some sand pigments from AK. I didn't find any detailed photographs of Nighthawks of that time, so I had to improvise a little bit. After the weathering is complete, I add a final layer of mud varnish. Before I start to assemble the model, I gently unmask all parts with tweezers. The assembly took me a longer time than expected. Some parts like the landing gear legs were okay. The most annoying was the bomb bay assembly. The parts didn't fit and it took me a lot of nerves to get it done. As an example, only a thin and very fragile rod held the bomb bay doors. Next, I glued the adjustable weapons skid hardpoint and the Mark 84 bombs. At the end, I glued the landing gear covers. But I have the feeling that something is still missing. Honestly, I'm not satisfied with the result. The model still looks a little bit boring. I decided to create remove before flight banners from masking tape. It's really easy and quick to create, and maybe the model will look better with some red banners. It's a stealth night bomber aircraft, and I'm sure it deserves to have more colors. Now that's more like it. It doesn't look that boring anymore. What do you think? At the last step, I glued the cockpit canopy with Loctite superglue. Alright, the Lockheed F-117A Nighthawk is finished. This model was a relaxing one and very fun to build. I hope you liked this video build. Please subscribe to my channel, like or leave a comment down below. If you are interested to see more of my work, join me on Facebook or Instagram, there is a link in the description. Thank you for watching guys, and see you next time.